week. It's been a very good week as we've had opportunities to support each other and try new things. And I think the biggest thing is that we tried. I think that's the biggest thing, that we showed up and we really did our best this week. And I'm really proud to be part of this collection of professionals and our community. So, anyways, I'll get out of the way and let the real experts do the talking now.
Where are they, speaking of?
Yeah.
Nicole, you told me they were coming.
Are they? Where's Jen and Shantima here today? Because I can try my best, but I am not.
Shantima said she will be back. She's making some KD apparently.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've seen Jen yet, though.
We still have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have 2 minutes. We can still keep talking about local places that you can make your background. Retro Suites, great spot.
I can see that, Ben, that equity piece, though, because I have had the conversation with my own children about videoing something that they're sending to their teacher or taking a picture. And I had to sit them down and say, guys, keep in mind and please be cognizant of the background, because I don't want this mess of blankets in your video or in your background or whatnot, right? So I can completely,
Yeah,
agree
so
with
my
that
kid
piece.
had to do thing today, and so we don't really supervise our children through the day because we're too busy working. So I saw the
hear
mess
ya.
of what that was, and Nicole was a little embarrassed. I'm like, we should have had to approve this before it went to Mrs. Super.
But there is that. I mean, because the same thing, my kids are kind of left to their own devices to do all that stuff. And then you see it come up after the teacher approved it and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm kind of mortified. Like that just went out there. But
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I think that's like there's many issues with Zoom why we don't use it with students, and it's a lot about their privacy and about those type of things. Because there's been lots in the news recently. But I think that feature we wish was in Google Meet. That's not there. There are things like record in there, which is excellent. There are new features coming along, so that's all real good.
awesome. Do we want to, we can do our land acknowledgement. We can get it started.
I'm just sending the code. It's just 3-1. Okay, yeah, go ahead. You can say hello and get started, and I'll get the code up.
And Rod, can I share my screen? We're good to go?
Yeah, you have control.
All right. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're back to talk about some questions that you've had over the past week of trying to dive into remote learning with your students over SeeSaw. And we will get started with our traditional territory land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and the Napo, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Okay, thank you. And here today we have Sharon, we have Jen and Shantima back to help us out with some of your, well, pretty much all of your questions. And Sam could not be here today. All right, Jen, do you want to take it over from here?
Sure. So how Shantima and I thought we would run this session is basically we looked over the questions and we grouped them into two main categories. what SeeSaw can and can't do. And then there was lots of questions about activities and drafts. So I'm going to handle this first part. I'm going to answer the questions that were asked first. And then if there's any questions, we can kind of take them from there. If I feel like it's an activity or drafts question, I'll pass it over to Shantima. I'll say, wait for that. And Shantima can do her part. So
Jen, sorry, can I interrupt for 1 minute? I forgot to mention Angela Cote is joining us today to help us out with chat. So Angela, welcome to our session.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
perfect. Yes, we are happy to have you here too, because chat is a whole beast of its own.
Okay, I will try my best. You do the SeeSaw, I'll do the chat.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so one of the first questions we were asked was, what's the easiest way to have kind of like a live Zoom type interaction with students? The question was specifically for grade 1 students. And they said, can you do it through Google Meet? Yes, that's what the board would like us to use, is Google Meet, because of the privacy reasons. So if that's something you'd like to try with your class, you would just create the Google Meet, share the link with the link feature. You would put the code for your Meet in the caption. And then something kind of a best practice would be to send that information to parents as well, using the family app. So the parent has the information and it's going in the student journal. So that's kind of that first question. Next, we had questions around, is there an easy way for parents to manage more than one child? Unfortunately, no. We talked about that. Parents really need to have that student code handy, readily available, because if you are on a shared device, it is a sign in, sign out situation. SeeSaw is aware of the complaint. If you follow any of their Facebook pages, it's a common complaint that comes up. So they are a good company that way, where they do listen to feedback. So that could be something that's changing in the future, but right now, that's just the way it is. Next question, I've had this a few times. Can students see each other's work? Can we make this a more collaborative platform? Unfortunately, students cannot see each other's work, and they've done that for a reason, for privacy reasons, which we talked about in our session earlier, which is why we're using home codes and not that class QR code. And if you want, there's a few kind of hack things that you can do to create collaboration. If you do have a kiddo that's sending a message or a picture and they want to share it with the whole class, and you have those kind of permissions from that parent, then you can certainly share it with your whole class. Another thing, I know Shantima's doing this with her class, and some other teachers, they just created a post that just says like class chat. And then the kids can just comment, voice or text in the feed underneath. That's kind of where we're at with that. What else? Oh, I guess. We've had questions about SeeSaw. Help Center, where can I go to get help? Certainly you can use the office hours of the program team that's starting next week. They can help you. SeeSaw Help Center, if you just go onto their website, they can help you. The Facebook page, if you are active on Facebook, is really great. It's a little arduous to kind of like sift through and find the answer. You might not find the answer you're looking for, but I do find some help there. Also, if you do use the SeeSaw website, they have a question mark sometimes down at the bottom, and that's a bit of a live chat, so you can chat someone there. I think that's kind of it, isn't it, Shantima? Yes? She's looking at me like she's not really sure. I think that's kind of it for the cans and can't do. I do understand the frustrations from some teachers. You know, it isn't the platform that, you know, we all want it to be, but it does do a lot of great things. Sometimes we just have to hack it, but, you know, I think it's doing a pretty good job at what it's doing so far. So are there any questions about anything that I just talked about? I'll put that out to my chat folks.
So we do have a question, not necessarily related to what you said, but they're wondering, is there a way to pin a post so it does not get buried?
No. I get what you mean though. Like you want it to just appear at the top all the time. Unfortunately, no. So if that's something, if it's just like an announcement about something, I would just screenshot it and just keep posting it over again. If that's something that you want them to pay attention to frequently.
Okay. And then the other question we're wondering, and this might come in later at the end after you've addressed the other questions, is can you show us how to make the class chat page?
Oh, it's just, you would just do add student work. Like just go add student work and then just say, this is for you to chat. And then they would just add comments underneath.
Okay.
And something like a tip would be make it rainbow background, right? So that you can find it in the feed.
Maybe that would be.
Yeah, kind of. Yep.
Okay, I think that answers the questions.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Shantima for activities and drafts. She can talk about that and the questions that we had for that. And then she can field some questions and then we'll just do how's it going? Any more questions after that?
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Yeah, perfect. Okay, my video is not working, but we were getting some questions about can parents see the draft version? So can they see the draft version of an activity after you hit the send back? So that is only, the send back only goes to students, right? Parents can only see on the family app whatever is approved to their child's journal. So unless they're checking into the student's class app, then they can see what you send back. So drafts are just teacher to student. So student sends you a response to an activity, you go on, you give feedback, you hit the send back button, that just goes straight to them. I got a lot of questions this week too about can we move from journal to activity? Like if a student accidentally posts to their journal instead of to the activity, that's where you're going to remember those 3 dots. So if you want to do anything to student work, you hit those 3 dots at the bottom and you're going to have to move it yourself. So if it's just a picture, then I usually just take a screenshot of it. You can also save it or download it, but if it's a video, you're going to have to actually save that video and repost it for them. So you're not able to actually go in and move it right to the activity. So that's kind of like the hack we use. I did get a question as well about written instruction and recorded instruction when creating an activity. So when you're creating an activity and you write out the instruction, if you're on a phone or an iPad and you go to record your voice instruction after, you get that little like recording now, 3, 2, 1 button pop up and it blocks your written instruction. So you can't actually read it. The only way around that I've seen is doing it from a laptop or a desktop. So if you do your voice instruction from a laptop or a desktop, there's just a little recording bar at the bottom and it doesn't block the written version. So that's the only solution I have found. We've also gotten some questions about links and how you would use that link tool. So in my mind, when I'm planning, I'm trying to think of like what I would use for the classroom. So if you're going to show a site as a resource, then you can add it as a link there. The link tool is also how you can add any like Google file or any file you save, like our read alouds. That's how we added it to. You could also link to online math manipulatives, right? If we're asking them, for instance, to use like snap cubes or something, families may not have snap cubes at home. So I would link to, I use toytheater.com. There are math manipulatives on there. Everyone that I need is on there. So I would use links that way. And I think the last question we had to go with activities and drafts is the feedback. So I would say, like personally, I would make feedback what you want it, right? Like if someone's sending you a bunch of like, I miss you pictures or pictures of their cats or pictures of their playground, like sometimes it just might be hitting a like thumbs up. Sometimes it's just a good work or a quick audio message. I don't think it needs to be anything fancy or just a quick question about what they want to do. Keep in mind that feedback becomes most of your time, right? It's very time consuming. So I'm making sure I'm giving feedback to what is necessary and not trying to like be too fancy with it. I'm just giving the students what they need. And I think that's it for our questions with activities and feedback. So is it Nicole's screen here? If we can go to the next one, Jen and I can spend some time fielding some questions. There we go.
Okay, we do have a few more coming in here.
Okay.
Okay.
First
Before we start,
Oh, go
just
ahead.
a sec, Ange, before we start, Nicole, can you stop sharing? And I'm going to take it over and just share my
Yes.
iPad. So in case that there's questions, I can just kind of show it on my iPad real quick.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do we want to go right up at the top there, Angela? I think we got until.
We've gotten the first few already. I think we're at, is it possible to add a voice note on an activity so kids can follow voice instructions and draw at the same time?
Yep. So when you add a voice instruction, they'll see a little button at the top when they're in their drawing tool that says instructions, and they can hit play and listen to it while they're drawing.
Okay, great. And then we have someone who's wondering, they've added some curriculum partners as co-teachers. And is there a way to stream it so that those teachers get notifications for their assignments and the classroom teacher would get the notifications for their assignments?
No.
No.
So,
That would be lovely. That would be lovely.
It would be great. No, that's one of those things where SeeSaw can't be everything we want it to be. You know, the thing is, we're diving into new territory here with co-teachers. So for a lot of you, you've never had a co-teacher in your SeeSaw before. We're feeling really protective of our classrooms and our SeeSaw classrooms. We don't want to overwhelm our students. And we have to have conversations with our co-teachers about what all of this stuff looks like. So I know that I've heard some people saying, you know, I went into my SeeSaw and all of a sudden everything was approved. I didn't approve it. I don't know how that happened, right? Where did it go? What happened? But maybe it's a new co-teacher that's just kind of getting onto SeeSaw and they're not really sure. They didn't do it on purpose, but they're just, you know, pressing away on things. So there are conversations you have to have with your co-teacher about, you know, how often they're going to post, maybe creating a schedule with them. I know Shantima did that because she has a bunch of co-teachers because she's a Learning Commons teacher as well. So she's made a schedule and said, these are the days that you're posting. And unfortunately, it all just shows up in one feed.
Yeah.
So
I have 5 teachers as a part of my SeeSaw class. And so I created a folder for each teacher as well, as opposed to subjects, right? So I created a folder for them all. They have their own day to post, and we just all had to kind of pre-talk and make a game plan that way.
While we're talking about co-teachers, somebody's wondering if you could just remind us, how do we add another teacher?
So if you go to that little wheel, the setting wheel, on the left-hand side, and you click up there, you should see where it says manage students and manage teachers. So you can send them a link, you can send them an email. Yeah, right there. Invite teachers.
And just as a note towards that as well, I was added as a co-teacher, but I didn't realize because it was sending in my other box on my LKDSB Outlook. It came in my other box.
Yeah, it just depends whatever email address they type in, right?
Oh, the link to the math manipulatives, I think that's what you were talking about. Shantima was toytheater.com.
Yep.
And then I'm not sure I totally understand this one, but can you add the link to the activity the same way we add the background or worksheet? So is that just in the template one, like is that what they mean?
Yeah,
'Cause
so
there's a
my
difference
guess is
between-
it's just like if I was adding a link here, how would they get it, right? So the multimedia is where you could add the link if you wanted them to go to something. Like this is where I would post it if we were doing, I don't know, a research project on polar bears and I wanted them to know something about polar bears. So I had a YouTube National Geographic for Kids video. I would go to the add multimedia instructions and I would put the YouTube video link there and then add the template at the bottom. That's kind of how you have to work it. So if I was getting kids to use Toy Theater, you could link it up there if you want to, or you can just share that link with parents, like in the family app, and say, this is a manipulative that you can find useful, so keep it in your bookmarks.
Question for you. You can only, are you limited to only one multimedia, right? Because if you add it to the template, it literally becomes a template and it's no longer live.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
so you
it-
can
okay,
only put
yeah.
one multimedia thing in there.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, the video, right? If that's what you mean, Nicole, yes, you can really only have one video for them. If it was pictures or something, then you can use draw and you can manipulate it that way. I don't really want to blow people's mind here because I feel like I'm going to have a million questions about this, but the way to work around sharing multiple links is creating a link page. So something like this. So I created this in Google Slides. It was just, I was a guy on the Facebook page, the SeeSaw Facebook page. This is what he did. And I just created it in Google Slides myself. And then what you do is you make all of these clickable. So when I go in here, I can go to that original document and then it becomes the slide. And then I can click on any of those links and I can actually go to them. So that will take me to Go Noodle. So if you want it, so this would be an example. So the guy that made this, his example was, he wanted somebody to do a project on polar bears. So he had a bunch of different links. Each one of those blue things was a link to a polar bear activity. So the kids could go to multiple links and then they filled in the template afterwards. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can go on YouTube. And I forget the person's name. It started with Chris with a K. I know that part. But I just followed his instructions. So I don't know if that helps, but that's kind of a hack to get around multiple links.
I think that's handy because there has been a couple of questions surrounding that.
Yeah. And basically the answer is you have to build it somewhere else and then share that
link
link. Yeah. Share
the
the
link
Google,
to the multiple
yeah,
links.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. You have to build the multiple links in Google Slides and then do it. If you are an Apple user or a Keynote user out there, you can also make a multimedia Keynote and save it as a clickable PDF. I know my friend Sharon Drummond, that's what she does. Again, I don't share this with you to like blow your mind and make you overwhelmed. It's just, I know some people out there,
Yeah,
you know, will go, okay, I get that, right?
Yeah.
Some people are like, I get that. Okay. So this is a way you can get around multiple links on one page.
Another question we're wondering, is there a limit to the amount of activities we can have in our bank?
I don't believe so because we have the paid version.
Yep.
Yeah, so somebody I guess is having difficulties with that. That was
It may not be upgraded to the SeeSaw Plus.
Yeah.
So if that's the case
I would
and you are
suggest,
limited, you need to contact Pam Gallant and send her an email to have you put into the LKDSB SeeSaw Plus.
Yep.
Yep. Otherwise, it's 100.
So that must be what it is, Shantima, because she
Yep.
said 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have 181.
Okay.
Yep. Talk to Pam.
Okay, and you addressed that one. That's probably a SeeSaw issue, not a Jen and Santima, but if the sample student isn't working, is there a fix phosphorus? Do I need to contact someone?
So Jen and I always make ourselves students in our class. And I find that opens you up to many more options than the sample student. So I used that for modeling in my class anyways. So I would just suggest making another student and calling it yourself.
Yeah, you have a hack for everything, so.
Sorry, I can't see the chat, Nicole, or I would totally.
I'm going
help you.
through it, but I'm
Sorry.
sorting through ones that have been answered and then ones that need to be.
Okay.
Another question, and again, this might be more of a SeeSaw question, is parents having difficulty accessing the activities from an Android device?
Oh, Android device, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of were like, so that's my bad. That was in my section too in SeeSaw can't. Yeah, it kind of is what it is. You can look on the SeeSaw support page and it tells you all of the software platforms that are compatible with SeeSaw. So you can first just check and make sure that they are using a compatible device. The only other thing I'd say is try and get them to go through the web. So even on your Android device, you can access the web somehow and try and go in through app.seesaw.me and try that.
And someone found your link, Jen, to that guy and
Oh,
posted
great.
it on here. So for anyone who was wondering about that link, Jess posted it for everyone there.
Nice.
When you have several teachers on SeeSaw, can they all see the inbox messages from parents?
No. So
No.
just your messages are private to teacher. Everything else is open to everyone.
And yeah, Ashley, even though you're seeing SeeSaw Plus, I would still go to Pam. She will maybe have something that's maybe not clicked on there right or something.
Is there a way to archive an activity but still leave it open for one student?
What you would have to do is, no, not really. So what I've done, you'd have to just reassign it to that one student. So I have a student, like I'm deleting all of my activities after 1 week. So I deleted all my activities from last week, and then I had a student come on this week. And so I went back and then I just assigned the Meet My Stuffy activity that I did to just her.
Yeah, because remember, it's always in your library. So even if you archive it, you just find it back in your own activity library, reassign.
Okay, and what about if a student posts in the wrong assignment? Is it possible to move it?
So you did a
That's the 3 dots, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what Shantima said. It's no different than when they post in the journal. It's the same, right? So you would just save it to your own device and move it yourself.
Okay, so creating an assignment in your own library, is there a way to share it with your co-teacher within the app so that co-teacher can add on to it without having to email a new link back and forth?
I don't believe so. Like you cannot co-create an activity. No, you'd have to create the activity and either send them that link where they save it to their library and then they edit it, or you would put it in your school's community library and then they would have to copy and edit it. I know that there's been a few FDK teams that have asked that question because they'd like to co-create, but that's not an option, unfortunately.
No. Sorry, I'm seeing a lot of talk in the chat about when we say click 3 dots. So when we say click 3 dots, what we mean is you have to save that work. So like sure, or save the video and repost it into the activities. So the 3 dots is how you do anything with their work. So when you click on their work, there's Jen showing you, you hit the 3 dots and then you can save. You're going to save it, to your camera and then repost it for them.
And can you guys just repeat what those applications were for creating the multimedia PDF for the Mac users? I believe you said Keynote, perhaps. What was the other one?
Yeah, so to create the multiple links page, you would use Google Slides. That's what the tutorial is on that the person posted in the chat, Chris with a K. Or if you're an Apple user, not saying that you can't use Google Slides. I'm all Apple and I used Google Slides, but you can use Keynote as well, and create clickable links, just like you would in Slides, and then you export it as a PDF and it becomes a clickable PDF.
I know over the past week, there's been questions surrounding linking to YouTube and the safety of that. And, you know, if you do link your students to YouTube, they're in YouTube. So they kind of have access to YouTube, right? Do you have any sort of safety things to make it a link to, like, so it's a safe link for students, or is there anything that you have found that have worked for that, has worked for that?
No, I think the reality is no different than if we were in the classroom. If we were in the classroom and we gave them a YouTube link, they would be in YouTube as well. So it's just using all the things that you would use in a classroom. If you're safer with using like KidsTube or something like that.
SchoolTube, I think,
yeah. SchoolTube, whatever it's called. Or if they're using a search engine, there's the kid-friendly ones like KidRex.
Kiddle.
Yeah, Kiddle. But that's not to say that they don't have full reign on the internet. It kind of is what it is. It's that way in the classroom and it's that way here.
Shatima, if you had seen something too there that you noticed, that's like, go ahead. Do you know difference between Android devices and other? Because we have a question about that. When I'm on my Android, is there a way to switch to journal as in a class list that I can choose a child and see their journal?
I honestly don't know anything about Android devices.
No, I was just telling Jen, I just ordered my own kids like Amazon Fire tablet, and I literally have not used anything ever but an iPad. So I don't know. I'm gonna try working out of the web version. I haven't, and see if that works as opposed to through the app. But yeah, I'm no help with Android. Sorry.
Megan, thank you. Megan said that SafeShare is a website that will make YouTube link safe.
Perfect.
Okay, so thank you for adding that, Megan. I think that's, if we don't have any other questions, I think that might be it.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing so you can go back to your stuff.
Okay. All right, so next week, we just wanted to let you know that there will be some office hours, so times during the day that every day of the week that you can actually have immediate feedback, immediate advice, or just to get divisions to gather together and talk and share some ideas. So each session will just be drop-in. You don't have to stay for the entire thing. It's a chance for teachers to ask questions, share ideas, connect with each other, and hear some, maybe one or two new ideas that might be there for you. And here is a schedule of the office hours. And this was sent out as well, right, Mary Lynn, to everybody?
I believe so.
In their emails, I think, and
Yes.
there's a link to the Zoom rooms and a link to the office hours there as well. So every day from 2 to 3, except Friday changes from 11 to 12 for languages.
I believe the principals were supposed to send it out, but Carol and Stevens as well to our teachers in ECs.
I did get them from both Principal and Carolyn, so.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
That's what was supposed to happen, so good.
Okay, so, and as you go and you try to dive in a little bit deeper into SeeSaw or Google, there's also, like, you can go to office hours, you can go to the SeeSaw website to ask questions right on there as well. And if you have any questions in terms, I know Pam had mentioned that SeeSaw is working with the problems with Android devices. They're aware of that. And we don't have answers right now for parents, but they are working on it. And then she just wanted to mention that if you are connected and happen to be connected to the wrong school, that it's okay and it can be sorted out. Don't have your principal delete you from a school. Just contact Pam and she will sort that out for you too.
And just before we head away for a lovely long weekend, I want to say a huge thank you, especially to our presenters, Jen and Shantima, who have done a ton of work, both in SeeSaw and as a program team, and for us as LKDSB. So thank you, you two, for hosting all of our sessions and then coming in today to host questions. Thanks to Nicole and Angela and Samantha, who have also been working behind the scenes and getting all of this ready. We appreciate all of your help. We also thank everyone who has been a part of this. I think at one point we were up close to 100 participants. We're at about 83 now. So lots of people in here learning more about how to communicate with our kids, which is who I said in the last session, none of us asked for this. None of us were expecting it. And we're all working really hard to do our best to support our little kiddos at home who also didn't ask for this, right? So much thanks to all of you who are working hard to support our little guys.
Yep, so so thanks Jen to Shantima, Angela, for helping us out today, and enjoy your long weekend. It is a well-deserved one.